Colombia's registry office will ask the National Electoral Council for a general recount of the votes for the public and the Republic Senate. Russia and Ukraine have decided to resume negotiations today to seek a solution to the Donbas conflict. The search and rescue efforts progress in China following plane crash in southern China. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada from the teleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. And now we begin. In view of the continuous denunciations that have been presented by different political sectors regarding alleged irregularities in the scrutinies, the Colombian Registry Office will ask the National Electoral Council for a general recount of the votes for the Senate of the Republic. The National Registrar Alexander Vega Rocha revealed that he will make the request to the electoral body after recognizing that there is an important number of forms that have been incorrectly filled out. And to clear up the doubts, it will be necessary to carry out a new general vote-by-vote recount. The official announced that the jurors who will have manipulated the forms will be investigated. He also said that these irregularities are being corrected by the scrutiny commissions and will be brought to the attention of the Public Prosecutor's Office. According to the Secretariat, 100% of the voting tables in Colombia have already been counted, and the international tables have yet to be counted, which will be processed by the CNE. And tension rises in Colombia over the mobilization of mobile anti-riot squad following an apparent takeover attempt in the department of Norte de Santander that left at least 1 dead and 20 injured. The authorities decided to transfer this repressive group to support the National Army in the municipality of El Tarra due to the difficult situation caused by the intention of more than 400 families to invade a lot within the security perimeter of the military base. The commander of the 2nd Division of the National Army, Omar Esteban Sepúlveda, indicated that the military forces carried out an attack operation in response to disturbances allegedly produced by citizens of El Tarra region in an attempt to take over a military base. Human rights organizations call for clarification of reports of the presence of armed men allegedly using the migrant population as a foment of conflict. Regarding the situation in the department of Norte de Santander, the mayor of the Colombian municipality of El Tarra has referred in particular to the humanitarian situation.
I strongly reject the events that have been taking place in our municipality, especially yesterday, which resulted in 17 people injured and 1 dead, involving the Venezuelan population, a vulnerable population that is sitting in our municipality of Tarra, and that many of them lack the need for housing, employment, education, and health. I call on the community and the department as well as the national authorities to please accompany us with humanitarian assistance for this population, as well as the request for Human Rights Commission to come to the territory and carry out the relevant verification of what may be occurring in the confrontation between this population and the security forces. I also call on the armed actors to please protect the civilian population from the conflict and avoid more victims, especially children, young adults, and vulnerable people who do not have to bear the consequences of this situation. I make this urgent appeal to all the authorities to please accompany us in this territory and in this municipality where we are amid a humanitarian crisis.
In Chile, the National Association of Human Rights Defenders calls on the government to make a statement on the situation of victims of violence by state agents. The organization facilitated a dialogue between the people who are holding the offices of the National Human Rights Institute in order to take action in response to the demands for freedom, truth, justice, reparation, and guarantees of non-repetition, which the victims of human rights violations are demanding. On the other hand, they demanded that the government, through the Sub-Secretariat of Human Rights, make a statement on the situation of the victims of state violence and their families, and that it take measures to implement that conform to international standards. And the police in Mexico have found 53 asylum seekers hidden in a house in Ciudad Juárez, a border city with the state of Texas. The group was trying to reach the United States. The group was abandoned in the building without food or water. 52 of them were from Guatemala and 1 from Ecuador. There were 45 men, 5 women, and 3 minors. The asylum seekers remained in Ciudad Juárez after being offered to cross to the United States in exchange for money. The Secretariat of Public Safety transferred the rescued people to a local gym set up as a shelter for people who tried to cross the border. In Brazil, Judge Alexandre de Moraes of the Supreme Federal Court announced on Sunday his decision to reverse the ruling to block the use of Telegram in the South American country, abolishing the suspension order and granting 24 hours to comply with the determinations established for its release. The information had been disseminated by several digital portals, where they also highlighted that the Moraes ordered on Friday that the digital platforms and providers of the mega-red internet block the use of the application. The award had been issued for failing to comply with court orders, among the main ones the restriction of accounts that had spread disinformation. In response to the magistrate's decision, Telegram's founder, Russian Pavel Durov, apologized and was quick to explain that the court decision was due to a matter of miscommunication. At least 6 people were killed in a favela in Rio de Janeiro on Sunday after a police operation. The operation, according to the police, concluded with 4 alleged criminals arrested and 6 reportedly killed. Authorities also report the confiscation of weapons, cars and drugs in the area known as Chapadão, a group of favelas located in the north of Rio de Janeiro. The agents broke into a party that was taking place in the middle of the square. Major Ivan Blas, spokesperson for the militarized police, admitted that the clashes began in the middle of the party, where some of the alleged wanted criminals were present. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. Russia and Ukraine decided to resume negotiations on Monday to seek for a solution to the Donbas conflict. The rounds will take place by video conference. The dialogue will continue after the parties agreed on new humanitarian corridors to evacuate civilians from the conflict zone. Ukrainian media quoted Kiev officials as saying that the talks are taking place every day between the group of experts. The representative of human rights in Russia, Tatiana Moskalkova, denounced discrimination and human rights violations against Russians around the world. The Russian Federation official rejected these actions in the framework of the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, celebrated this March 21st. She described the position taken by several countries towards Moscow as the new Holocaust. Moskalkova also said there are even nations cutting cultural ties, expelling Russian youth from educational institutions abroad, forbidding them to enter educational institutions in other countries. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky once again challenged the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, by holding it directly responsible for the conflict, and once again questions the organization's resolve vis-à-vis Russia. During an interview with CNN, the president claimed that NATO could prevent the conflict, which was already killed more than 900 civilians if NATO accepted his country as a member from the beginning. Zelensky, who said he would have liked to receive guarantees for his country and reiterated that direct membership in the alliance would have prevented the confrontations, accused the organization's top leadership of not even having the courage to say openly that his country will never join the alliance. So far, the military bloc has publicly recognized Ukraine as a special partner, a stance that Zelensky revealed to be completely different in private. The Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk told several national and international media that Kyiv will not hand over Mariupol, a major port city in the southeast of the country, which is currently besieged by heavy fighting. According to the senior official, Russian forces asked the Ukrainian troops deployed in the strategic port to lay down their arms and leave the city through humanitarian corridors, but the government of President Volodymyr Zelensky rejected Moscow's proposal. Vereshchuk also said that her government will not talk of surrender or laying down the arms, and described the offer by Russian forces as blackmail and manipulation. Our government had not even considered for a second. And the head of Russia's National Defense Management Center, General Mikhail Mizintsev, reported on Sunday that Ukrainian neo-Nazis killed civilian population in Mariupol, southeastern Ukraine. The senior officer emphasized that in the absence of further support from Kiev and the steady advance of the people's militias with the support of the Russian army, the neo-Nazis deployed massive terror operations on the port city's civilian population. Mizintsev also said the daily executions of citizens sometimes exceeded 200 fatalities in a single day, all of them innocent civilians. He also informed that more than 59,000 Ukrainian citizens and 139 foreigners managed to leave the city under the protection of the Russian military forces. Now we move on to other topics. Severe storms hit the North Island of New Zealand on Sunday night, leaving 3 dead and 2 missing after the sinking of a fishing boat. 2 Air Force planes and a naval vessel rescued 5 people in the midst of heavy rains, floods, road closures, and landslides. The Weather Service warns that 6 storms are heading towards the Auckland area, the country's largest city. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Search and rescue efforts progress in China following a plane crash in southern portion of the Asian giant. The fire department found pieces of the Boeing 737 flight. Rescuers continue to work in the disaster area. However, rescue groups have not reported any survivors yet. So far, more than 500 firefighters and 97 vehicles have been deployed to assist in the rescue operations. In this regard, the President of China, Xi Jinping, ordered to take prompt measures to identify the causes of the accident and strengthen the review of commercial aviation safety. And the special envoy from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations met with Myanmar's junta chief on Monday in the regional bloc's latest attempt to jumpstart dialogue between the military and opponents of its coup. ASEAN has led stalled diplomatic efforts to end the chaos unleashed by the last year's putsch, which ousted Aung San Suu Kyi's government and sparked mass protests. Cambodian Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn and Myanmar's junta chief discussed the situation of protests and violence, as well as humanitarian cooperation. The envoy's visit aimed at encouraging political consultations with all parties concerned. According to a local monitoring group, more than 1,000 people have been killed and over 12,000 arrested in a military crackdown since the coup. Japan Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi met with his United Arab Emirates counterpart in a bid to ask the Arab nation to pump more oil to calm the markets rocked by the Russian special military operation in Ukraine. The request by Japan's foreign minister came during meetings with Emirati officials, which coincided with a visit by Germany's economic minister. Hayashi asked the UAE to contribute to the stabilization of international oil markets by supplying a greater amount of oil, securing spare productive capacity as a leading member of Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Other high government officials had visited Saudi Arabia in an attempt to ease prices of over $100 a barrel and secure non-Russian supplies. There was no promise of more production from the UAE, which has stressed its alignment with the OPEC oil alliance that includes Russia. On Monday, world leaders and water experts gathered in Senegal's capital, Dakar, for the start of the world's biggest international water conference. The forum is held every 3 years and aims to allow decision makers to collaborate and make long-term progress on global water challenges, according to organizers, and is jointly convened by the World Water Council. Addressing delegates at the opening ceremony of the 9th gathering of the World Water Forum, Senegal's President Macky Sall warned that rapid urbanization and industrialization were threatening supplies of safe drinking water for people around the world. The fight for access to clean water is a critical goal in developing nations, and interest is high in this year's gathering, being held for the second time in Africa. The forum runs until March 26.
Everything suggests that if nothing is done, the situation will go from bad to worse, mainly because of the strong demographic pressure of rapid urbanization and polluting industrial activity. This 9th World Water Forum gives us the opportunity to sound the alarm of the seriousness of the situation, so that the question of water stays at the heart of the international agenda.
At least 5 people are dead and dozens more are believed missing after a bulk carrier crashed into a small ferry in a river near Bangladesh capital. Police said nearly 24 people managed to swim ashore after the inland cargo carrier ran over the ferry southeast of Dhaka. Footage of the sinking area by local media showed people shouting in alarm as the cargo vessel collided with the ferry, then jumped into the polluted waterway as the boat quickly sank. According to a police inspector, the ferry was believed to be carrying more than 60 passengers. Another ferry sank in Dhaka last June after a collision with another vessel, killing at least 32 people.
We heard from survivors there were some 60 to 70 passengers on board. Some 5-6 people managed to swim to this side of the river, and another 15 to 20 managed to get across to the other side. It was a huge cargo ship that hit the ferry from the rear. The ferry then lost control and sank.
I don't have any words to describe it. Before I understood anything, I was deep in the water, underneath the big vessel. Only Allah knows how I managed to survive. All of my belongings are lost.
Canadian government representatives and experts said that the railroad strike declared this Monday morning by the country's second-largest railroad operator has come at one of the worst moments of the national economy and could cause irreversible damage. CP rail trains are currently grounded all over the country, and thousands of workers are already marching in picket lines since Sunday. The strike involves more than 3,000 engineers, conductors, and other employees. A massive layoff triggered the protests, but the conflict began months before when the workers introduced a 26 demand labor, a plan including wage and union improvements. The United Nations recalled on Monday that Western Sahara conflict must be resolved with a full commitment of the parties to the political process, facilitated by the UN in the first official reaction to the Spanish government's announcement of backing the Moroccan autonomy plan. The UN spokesperson, Stéphane Dujarric, further urged all stakeholders to support the efforts of the personal envoy for the Sahara, Staffan de Mistura, aimed at resuming, the political process of negotiation between the parties to the conflict. Stéphane reiterated the importance of maintaining the full commitment of the parties to the political process is by the UN in line with the Resolution 2602, approved in 2021. This resolution advocated for a realistic, viable, lasting solution solution, acceptable to the parties and based on compromise, and that provides for the self-determination of the people of Western Sahara in accordance with the principles of the UN Charter. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For Telesur English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.